Welcome to another episode of the Jampack Report today for February the 3rd of 2021. My name is Samuel Adams and I had a whole show planned today with notes and scripts and we were good to go, but lo and behold, while I was nestled in my electric blanket in the winter night, the gaming industry did what the gaming industry does, threw a wrench in my plans, and now we have more news to talk about today. But I'm not complaining, because it's some very exciting news. Embracer Group is getting involved with Gearbox, and on top of that, PlayStation has revealed their third quarter sales figures, and they are absolutely monstrous. So let's go ahead and dive into it. The PS5 has sold 4.5 million units in less than 2 months after its launch, bringing Sony's Game and NEwork Services division up to $8.4 billion in revenue, which is up 25% over the same quarter last year. Now, there's plenty of other information in the full press release, but strategic price points for PS5 hardware are set lower than the manufacturing cost, which means that the PS5 is selling at a loss each time someone buys a console. But the cost of the console itself has been offset by the sale of digital software, which rose 42% year over year. 433 billion yen in revenue from digital software was brought in, with 51 billion yen being made from physical game sales, the remainder coming from digital downloads at 176 billion yen, and add-on content at a monstrous 256 billion yen. PlayStation Plus hit 47.4 million subscribers, up from 38.3 million, and 114 million active units exist across PS3, PS4, and PS5 hardware. So all of this comes together to generate incredible success for Sony, which means they have increased their full year forecast for the Games and NEwork Services division up to $25 billion in revenue and $3.2 billion in operating profit. This means that Sony is expecting to have their most successful year to date. And there's no reason why they should expect anything less, because the PlayStation 5 has been an incredible success right out of the gate. It's still incredibly difficult to find one. Of course, supply lines have been constrained and consumer demand is through the roof, which means it's hard for anyone to keep up, Microsoft, Sony, or otherwise. But PlayStation is on the track to have their most successful year to date, and I'm looking forward to learning more about how Q4 does pan out for them. I think they're absolutely going to achieve all of those goals. And again, why wouldn't they? Because there is nothing standing in their way. They have fantastic games, they've got a really great console in their hands, and they have a ravenous consumer base that is ready to get involved. Of course, all of this news comes from one of the earnings calls and plenty of reports. They've released the full financial statements as well if you do want to dive in and give it a look. However, another big story that broke last night is that the Gearbox Entertainment Company is merging with Embracer Group, accelerating their growth plan, and of course, a lot of money is changing hands in the process. In short, the deal includes $188 million in cash and 7,438,983 B shares in Embracer Group that are equivalent to USD $175 million, pricing the initial acquisition cost at $353 million. But there is potential for an additional $1 billion in time over operational and financial earnout. Quote, Gearbox is arguably one of the most creative and valuable independent developers in the world. We believe that the resources offered by Embracer will position Gearbox for continued significant growth in the years to come, says Lars Wingfor, founder and group CEO of Embracer Group. Lars' vision of Embracer as an allied partner group committed to fueling and accelerating the ambitions of a series of decentralized, successful entrepreneurial companies while magnifying the collective value and advantages of diversification across the entire group is the most brilliant strategy and design for short, medium, and long-term success in this industry that I have ever encountered in my 30 years in this industry, said Randy Pitchford, founder of the Gearbox Entertainment Company. The feeling at Gearbox is that we are just getting started, and this transaction is not merely a stimulant for the talent of our employee-owned company, but a propellant for the exciting future that we have planned, end quote. Very massive news here. Of course, there are two other acquisitions that Embracer made today, but this is by far the most significant because it's Gearbox we're talking about, the company behind games like Borderlands, which is an absolutely massive name in the gaming industry. Even though Borderlands 3 might not have hit fans' expectations, it still is a very significant game that is going to make an impact for years to come. Gearbox, of course, is known for many other branches of their company. They're a big publishing group, but this is a significant acquisition that will absolutely shape the future of the industry. But will anything really change? From my perspective, No, it's just more capital flowing into Gearbox that allows them to do more things. And a lot of people are talking about this online, but I don't really see a long-term impact other than setting Gearbox up for a propelled growth into the future they already really have planned. Because Embracer Group essentially wants companies to do what they've been doing, but they just want a piece of the pie. And in order to get that piece of the pie, they provide some money. They're buying the pie. You know what I mean? And so if you do want to read the entire press release, you can find it over on gearboxsoftware.com with statements from Randy, statements from Lars, and plenty of other fluff talking about the companies and what they do and what not. But a very significant story that was going to be the headline story for today's show: Electronic Arts and CLC are bringing back the college football games. It's an interesting situation, though. Let's go ahead and dive into it. Yesterday, Electronic Arts, a worldwide leader in interactive entertainment and sports gaming, and CLC, the nation's leading collegiate trademark licensing company, announced the expected return of college football to EA Sports. The partnership allows for EA Sports to be the exclusive developer of simulation college football game experiences. Development of EA Sports College Football is just underway, with launch timing still to come as the project progresses in the years ahead. For 2 decades, EA Sports entertained millions of fans by recreating the unparalleled pageantry of college football. The EA Sports College Football franchise was a consistent top 5 sports title in North America during its previous run, generating tens of millions unit sales from 2005 to 2014. In recent years, college football has been one of the most requested games by fans from EA Sports, and today EA is confirming plans for its official return. Quote, "We've heard from the millions of passionate fans requesting the return of college football video games," said Cam Weber, EA Sports EVP and GM. "We love the energy, tradition, and pageantry of college football, and I am beyond thrilled to say we are back in development. We have a lot of really exciting work ahead for us, and a great team that is eager to bring a new game to players in the next couple of years." Quote, "We are very excited to collaborate with EA Sports to bring back the college football franchise, one of the most popular collegiate licensed products in our history," said Corey Moss, CLC CEO. The college football video game connects passionate fans to college brands and introduces new fans to the storied traditions, excitement, and game day experience that make college football unique. The new franchise will deliver authentic college football experiences and the high-quality gameplay that fans have long loved in college football games from EA Sports. Through the CLC partnership, the franchise will include the rights to more than 100 institutions, featuring the logos, stadiums, uniforms, game day traditions, and more that fans have come to know and love. While this college game will not include student-athlete names, images, and likenesses, EA Sports is continuing to watch those developments closely. EA Sports reaches players all around the globe, and in the past year introduced 6 new console and PC experiences, as well as ongoing live service offerings on PC and mobile. EA Sports franchises delivered sports entertainment to millions of fans with an array of authentic, deep experiences that brought players closer to the sports, teams, and leagues that they love. The return of its most requested franchise will only accelerate momentum and player excitement. So there is no release date, no release time frame. It's not going to be back for at least a couple of years, if I did have to say, because they have had the plural years used here, which means development is really just getting started. But essentially, NCAA football is coming back, and this is very big news because I loved NCAA college football. That was a really, really fantastic franchise, and in fact, I would say I preferred it to Madden. But things are going to be different this time around. It is no longer NCAA football. It is just college football. That's why it is literally called EA Sports College Football, because that license is not available. On top of that, the reason that the college football games went away from EA Sports is because of arguments around player likenesses and payouts. EA had to pay a significant amount of damages whenever college athletes were being used in their game without getting paid. And so with that issue being brought onto the table, again, player likenesses will not be used. For instance, Joe Burrow, one of the big names in college sports that has now moved on to the NFL, was complaining on Twitter about how he just graduates and would love to be on the cover, but you won't have any Joe Burrows in this game. It's just going to be collegiate teams with the stats of the teams themselves. So, it's going to be a bit different, but it is nice to hear that it is coming back. Now, these licensing agreements are still in the works to use player likenesses, so the potential is not off the table for that to be added in a future iteration of the game, or perhaps by the time this game even comes out, they can apply player likenesses and player names. But it's still one of those elements that is up in the air, so we'll have to wait and see how that side of things pans out. But the last big game that was brought out from EA Sports in the college football world was NCAA Football 14. So it's been a number of years, and I know that a lot of sports fans out there are very excited. It's also worth mentioning the game is still watched pretty heavily when it is streamed on Twitch. I know that Barstool Sports does some NCAA stuff over there, and so there is a huge crowd that wants college football games to come back, and I think this could be on track to be one of their big sellers whenever it does make its return in the years ahead. So look forward to that if you are a college football fan. And on top of that, for Mass Effect fans, you've got plenty to look forward to over the course of the next few months, leading up to May the 14th, which is the official release date of Mass Effect's Legendary Edition. I almost said collection, did you see that? The Mass Effect Legendary Edition. They write on the N7Day blog, it's tough keeping a big secret, and we really struggle to keep this one a surprise. Pause. You didn't. We've all known it's coming. But now it's official. Today we announced the Mass Effect Legendary Edition. We've heard for years your request for a Mass Effect remaster, so we're super happy to finally reveal we have been working on a remastered edition of the Mass Effect trilogy. For many months now, our team at BioWare has been hard at work updating the textures, shaders, models, effects, and technical features of 3 enormous games. Our goal is not to remake or reimagine the original games, but to modernize the experience so that fans and new players can experience the original work in its best possible form. It's been amazing to see the adventures of Commander Shepard take on new life in super sharp resolution, faster frame rates, and beautiful visual enhancements. As game developers, we always hope that our games will transcend their original platforms. Having the opportunity to remaster the trilogy means that the fruits of a decade of our work will live on and will be experienced better and clearer than ever before. Mass Effect Legendary Edition will include single-player-based content and DLC from Mass Effect, Mass Effect 2, and Mass Effect 3, plus promo weapons, armors, and packs, all remastered and optimized for 4K Ultra HD. It will be available in spring 2021 for Xbox One, PS4, and PC, with forward compatibility and targeted enhancements on Series X and PS5. More information is going to come in the year ahead. Meanwhile, here at BioWare, a veteran team has been hard at work envisioning the next chapter of the Mass Effect universe. We are in the early stages on the project and can't say any more just yet, but we are looking forward to sharing our vision for where it will be going next. For me personally, Casey Hudson writes, Mass Effect represents years of work and countless special memories, so every year I feel incredibly fortunate to celebrate N7 Day with players around the world. Thank you so much for supporting us over the years. I can't wait to continue our adventure together, revisiting our favorite memories in the Mass Effect universe and creating brand new ones. The trailer itself looks really good. I'm pretty impressed with everything I'm seeing here. I will say, this is not the rebuild from the ground up that many people have been expecting and anticipating many of these remasters to be. This is just a updated version of the original game, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's a perfectly acceptable way of going about doing a legendary edition of the game. Now, you can see a before and after, a side-by-side comparison on the official Mass Effect website. If you did want to go in and give that a look, you can see the slider here where on the side you have original, on the right you have Mass Effect, and you can slide and see that things are greatly improved in terms of textures and looks of everything. The camera angles have been changed, the HUD has been changed, and so in short, you do have a completely rebuilt version of the game, but it is also still the game that you remember. I will say, I don't know if it's just the look of the Legendary Edition or the lighting settings are different. It looks washed out to me. Maybe I can just bump the contrast up on my machine, but I would love to have seen some ray tracing come into play here. I don't really think that's present in this remaster. There's a lot that this footage leaves to be desired, and maybe again that's just me, but for some reason the original looks almost better to me. I don't know if it's really difficult for me to make the call. Now, of course, the still images absolutely dominate whenever you're talking about what looks better, what looks worse. These are fantastic. But the videos, Oh, it's such a hard call to make. The frame rate, of course, is significantly improved, but you can check this out for yourself. I know podcast listeners are really enjoying this period of me talking about what I'm looking at on the screen. But for someone who has not played Mass Effect, me, this is a fantastic opportunity to dive back in and really get the experience that I've been wanting, because I have wanted to go back, and the controls have been modernized, the heads-up display has been modernized, the cover-based system has been modernized, everything about this game is new, except for the core game itself, which is fine, because you want that core experience to live on. And the core experience is going to live on in Apex Legends as well when it launches on Nintendo Switch on March the 9th, another absolutely horribly kept secret from Electronic Arts. Hey everyone, this is Chad Grenier, Game Director on Apex Legends. Chad Grenier writes on the Apex Legends blog. Today I'm proud to come to you with some good news. Apex Legends is coming to Switch on March 9th, 2021. Porting Apex Legends to its smallest screen yet is a major achievement, and we could not have done it without our friends at Panic Button. We are very proud of what the team has been able to achieve with some smart optimizations for the Switch port to deliver a full-featured Apex Legends experience on the go. Apex Legends will launch on Switch with support for cross-platform play, our latest seasonal content, and full feature parity with the other versions of the game. Plus, since we are launching a few weeks after the start of Season 8, Switch players will be granted 30 free levels for their Season 8 Battle Pass. For the first 2 weeks after launch, playing on Switch will also earn you double XP. We can't wait to welcome Switch players to the arena. Keep an eye out for more news about the latest updates we are bringing to Apex Legends. See you soon, Legends. So this is again one of the worst kept secrets in gaming. Apex Legends is coming to the Nintendo Switch, and there's an officially licensed controller that was leaked. We saw a lot of leaked info, but this is a very big release because it is a free-to-play first-person shooter, and one that has grown 30% year over year, according to Electronic Arts, thanks in part to the pandemic and more people staying at home, playing games. But the game itself is just good. Apex Legends is a very good shooter. It's built on the core mechanics of Titanfall, which is one of the best shooter franchises out there. And so, for good reason, it continues to grow, and it continues to improve, and it continues to bring in new players, including those on the Nintendo Switch. So if you do want to check out the game, it's coming out on March the 9th, and of course you can always tune into the drop on a weekly basis every single Sunday right here on youtube.com/the Jampack Report to find the hottest games of the week. You know you boy, I had to drop that little plug right there. You gotta do what you gotta do. But to round out today's show, we have some new games coming to the Xbox Game Pass ecosystem, and this news comes to us from Megan Spur, Community Lead on Xbox Game Pass. Welcome back to your bi-monthly installment of What Am I Going to Play Next with Xbox Game Pass, featuring games about friends, games you can play with your friends, and games about deceiving your friends, and more. Let's get to it. So Ghost of a Tale is coming to PC today alongside Project Winter and The Falconeer, which are launching across Android console and PC. The biggest one here is The Falconeer. It is the game that was kind of marketed as one that takes advantage of the Xbox Series X and S. It runs at 120 FPS. It's a very tight little indie game where you play as a warbird flying through the skies. Very cool stuff there. Another one that I mentioned on this week's episode of The Drop is Project Winter. It is coming to Xbox, and it's also out on PC right now with crossplay, but it's an 8-person multiplayer game focusing on deception and survival. It's basically Among Us, but if you were a group of explorers out in the middle of the woods and you have some traitors among you. You have to survive and you have to defeat the traitors if they do try to trait you, or whatever the action verb is for that specific kind of person. But on top of that, Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age, is coming to console and PC on February 11th. Jurassic World Evolution comes to Android and console on February 11th as well. Stealth Incorporated 2, A Game of Clones, comes to Android and console on February 11th, and Wolfenstein Youngblood is going to be streaming in the cloud on February the 11th. Of course, that is the co-op game that takes place in the Wolfenstein universe. Can be played solo though, so do not worry. Out of everything, I would highly recommend checking out The Falconeer. Jurassic World Evolution, I've heard good things about. It's basically where you build your own Jurassic World park, which I think is pretty cool. But on top of that, Project Winter is one that you could absolutely dive into with friends. If you're a streamer, that is one that is worth checking out. But just more value coming to Xbox Game Pass. Again, I adore this game. Highly recommend checking it out and giving it a shot if you do not already subscribe to the service, because there's always more on the way. But that rounds out today's episode of the Jampack Report. If you enjoyed today's show, drop me a like down below and let me know what you thought about everything we talked about here today, but specifically, what do you think about the PlayStation 5 continuing to dominate and the merger between Gearbox and Embracer Group, making it the 7th big pillar in the series? Very significant stuff there. But until tomorrow, you guys have a fantastic day. I hope that no news breaks overnight again because that was stressful, and peace.